My name is Ahmed Ibrahim. I am honored to be the president of the Bridgeport Islamic Community Center, one of the co-hosts of this event with CARE Connecticut and many other faith-based and other organizations like our friends from Answer Coalition and other organizations joining us today. The declaration of Jerusalem as a capital of the State of Israel clearly diminish any hope for peace in the Middle East. If anyone is looking for and hoping for peace in the Middle East, that declaration is totally against that hope, totally diminish that hope. Not only that, it's not just harmful to Palestinian people, it's not just harmful to the peace process in the Middle East, it is harmful to even the basic U.S. interest. We are not here against our Jewish friends. We are not against our Jewish brothers and sisters. We are not against Judaism, the religion. We as Muslims and non-Muslims here, I am sure, we have many Jewish friends here. We work with Jewish organizations in this city, in this state, all around the country. We strongly believe that this conflict has nothing to do with Judaism, the religion. This conflict is against a political movement, the Zionism, that is hijacking the religion of Judaism for political reason. And I want to start with our Imam Muhammad Abdul-Ati, the Imam of the Bridgeport Islamic Community Center, who will tell you why.
So Palestinian, the land, this piece of land in 1948, it was full with its people. Not thousands of people, but millions of people. They used to live there. They have country, they have international airport, they have embassies all over the world, they have everything. But there is some people, they try to change this by taking this land from its people and expel them out from their countries, from their houses. That's why there is a lot of Palestinian people all over the world. They are carrying something very valuable. They are carrying the key for their houses. Even if there is tens of years past, but they still have the key because they believe one day they will go back to their countries. One day they will. And the evil will never continue forever. And the other side of the fact, it's part of our faith. Part of our faith. We have to be against the wrong. We have to be against the evil.
Dr. Ibrahim, Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mohammed Hamada. I'm with the Bridgeport Islamic Community Center. And I would like to welcome all of you for being here on this very cold day, which is a very strong evidence that we are not here to support a Muslim struggle against Judaism. We're not here to support Arabs against Israelis. We're here to support the people that were driven out of their homes. And the evidence is having people from all backgrounds. I see Muslims, I see Christians, and we see Jews everywhere protesting President Trump's decision. So this is not a religious, as Dr. Ibrahim said, struggle. This is a support of the people who have the right to return to their homes.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon all of you. My name is Aziz Young. I'm a former journalist from Pakistan, and I have honor to be Vice President of BICC. Can you imagine? Our government has given $234 billion of our taxpayers' money in the last 6 decades to Israel, more US aid than any other country in the world, despite its own thriving economy. 2 days ago, a Palestinian 29-year-old wheelchair-bound protester, Ibrahim Abu Tohara, who had lost both of his legs and kidneys in an Israeli airstrike in 2008, was shot in the head in the wheelchair. Israel does not even allow Palestinians to protest.
So it is the political existence of Israel over a Palestinian land. Golda Meir, a very famous prime minister of Israel in one time, she said, I was a Palestinian Jews living in Palestine. So the Jews were living in Palestine in peace, side by side with their brothers and sisters of Muslims and Christians. So keep that in mind when you look at the thing, when you watch a documentary about Jerusalem. People were living in peace together. Never that we said the Jews are not allowed to come and pray in their holy lands. Never happened. It's
Al-Quds in Arabic meaning the Holy One, or Beit al-Maqdis, the home or abode of the Holy One. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city of peace, the abode of home or peace. These names perfectly exemplify the character of this great city. It's these names that sum up the feeling that goes through you when you walk into the old city, when you walk the same smooth cobblestone alleys that hundreds of prophets walked down. When you enter the old city, you're transported back in time. A time when Muslims, Christians, Jews lived in peace and understanding. When people of those religions would come as they go, worship as they please, live as they please, it was and still can be a sanctuary. But then you're immediately snapped back to reality. When you look out, when you notice the separation wall from outside of the bus window, separating illegal Israeli settlements from the rest of the city. Then the bus stops at the infamous Qalandia Checkpoint, one of the biggest checkpoints in the occupied Palestine. Armed Israeli soldiers come on the bus and check your IDs. If you have a Palestinian ID, you get kicked off the bus and walk through extra security. Many get turned away. They walk back to their villages, their cities, their homes. Some of them get beat or humiliated right there at the checkpoint. This picture is starkly different than the time when there were no armed guards, no checkpoints, no restrictions or based on identification cards, no age restrictions, no small windows of opportunity to enter to worship. It was just peace. If you manage to get into the old city, what you'll see will amaze you. Holy sites of all these religions, people from all over the world scattering to visit the sites, praying together, eating together, bonding, living a few moments in a time that has been slowly fleeting. It is no wonder why religious leaders within Jerusalem and world leaders have denounced Trump's decision.
The speaker talked about BDS boycotts. These things are important, and we should be working on them. I know a lot of you work for the city or the state, and unfortunately some of your money is helping this oppression. The treasurer of Connecticut, and I'm sure the treasurer before her, has been investing in Israel. And the last time we looked, 30 million in stocks and bonds. And then another 30 million, they own Israeli shekels. You collectively own Israeli shekels and help fund the occupation. And this is something that the people have been trying to protest. For years we've tried to have a meeting with the treasurer of Connecticut, and she won't take a meeting. Instead, there's all kinds of threats they'll make BDS illegal. They have been doing this in 21 states, have these measures, and if they bring this up, we're going to call on you to deal with this.
Brother Dr. Abdel-shakour Abu Zaid was born and raised in the West Bank, I believe. He's a US citizen now, and I remember last time I talked to him, he told me last time he tried to visit Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, in Al-Aqsa, and he was denied.
Dr. Ibrahim spoke about my trip to Palestine, I think 4 or 5 months ago, and actually it was a business trip. So I had to do some business in Jerusalem for my employer, and at the checkpoint, when I crossed from Jordan to Palestine, I asked for a visa. on my American passport, they refused to give me a visa. They said, you are Palestinian, you are not allowed to have a visa. So this is the first discrimination against American person for one reason, that he is a Palestinian too. They refused. Then I said, I'll manage. I entered as a Palestinian, and I had my cousin to drive me to Jerusalem. I came to the first checkpoint, I was denied. I gave him my American passport. They said, where is the visa? I said, I don't have a visa. He said, you cannot enter, you have to have a visa. Then my cousin drove me around to other checkpoint, and we were lucky they did not ask this time. So I managed to go to Jerusalem, and I spent 3 days and nights there in Jerusalem. If any of you visit there, if Mr. Trump, you call him president, I call him Mr., okay, go to a second, or a building has 2nd floors, 3 floors, not too high, does not need to be no high, and he looked from the window, he will see all the Arab, Christian, Muslim heritage. He will not even see some of the Jewish heritage, because the Jewish heritage is claimed to be under the ground. They see all they see all the churches. They'll see the holy mosques there. They see the tradition of all Arabs and Romans and people from history.
There is many efforts to try to educate the American people about what's going on, and that's one of the things that Tree of Life tries to do. For the last 14 years, we have taken groups of Americans to Palestine so that they can see for themselves, witness for themselves, because unfortunately our mainstream media really doesn't cover this in a fair way. We need to support the boycott, divestment, sanction movement. That needs to be part of what we call on our congresspeople and our senators and our state legislators to support. Years ago, I was involved in an effort when the South African people were fighting to overcome apartheid. And we utilized tools like boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. Here in Connecticut, we passed through our state legislature a law that provided that the state of Connecticut had to divest in the investments in corporations that were active in South Africa. We did that to support. We did that to support the freedom, the democracy, the equality within South Africa. The same thing needs to happen now in connection with Israel. Right? We need to put pressure on Israel. And we can do this in a nonviolent, peaceful way. But when it comes to this particular issue, even now we have legislators that are passing laws to try to say that we can't even engage in a nonviolent struggle against Israel's colonization. They're passing laws that are saying it's wrong to do BDS. It's wrong to engage in boycott, divestment, and sanctions. This is totally wrong, and it's completely contrary to the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And we need to keep our eyes out on this, and we need to make sure that if such a bill comes to the state of Connecticut, that we stand together and we get in touch with our legislators and say, no, you can't support this.
One of them, our sister Nawal, with us today, who want to share her personal experience under occupation with you, and she promised me she will be short. We know it's getting cold here. Sister Nawal.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I was born and raised in Palestine. I lived the first Intifada. I was arrested by the Jewish occupation. I was tortured. My brother was shot. We lived raw. I was 13 years old, which, you can't do that to a minor. You can't arrest a 13-year-old just for standing there, wanted to enter her school and wanted to stand there even though there was the big tanks sitting there for us, so we wouldn't have our education. That's their plan, uneducated, kids. So I lived it all, and I just wanted to share this with everyone, and I do share it everywhere I go. I have a lot of stories to tell, because people here, as one of the speakers mentioned, that they don't know, they're naive, all what they hear is the media, the news, and they don't know. We need to educate our kids about Palestine, about Al-Quds, Jerusalem. We need to make them prepare. If anyone come and talk to them, they know what to answer. And to be strong, not to be afraid. My daughter 2 days ago, she was at a restaurant. She was approached by a Jewish guy. I guess he's with whatever going on in Palestine. And she, of course, you know, he was like, oh, you're from Palestine? And she defended herself, but she told me, Mama, we need to be more educated. So please, please, have the time to educate your kids, to let them know what's really going on, because no one do. All what they show is a rock coming to the soldiers' feet, and oh, that might hurt them. And you know, when the bullet come to us, they don't share that. They don't show it. So that's my, you know, voice, and I will keep it high, and I will tell everyone about our life in Palestine. Thank you.
We have two more speakers. One of them is one of our Muslim activists in DC, and we're honored that he's visiting us today, Brother Maurice Salakan.
This green here, this represents what Palestine looked like under the control of the Palestinians in 1946. 2 years. 2 years before Israel became a state. The green represents Palestinian controlled land that they had been in possession of for many centuries. As you see in these three succeeding planes, 1947, this was right after the partition, how much the green has shrunk. And then we go to 1949 through 67. And then the last one is 2000. It's been 17 years since that last plane, and it's even worse than that now. What we have in occupied Palestine is ethnic cleansing and genocide. This is what it is. This is what it is. One of my friends is a woman by the name of Allison Weir. She started an organization called If Americans Knew. This is a very, very profound question. If Americans knew. We must make more of an effort, really, to educate people that just don't know how their tax dollars are being spent.
All right, thank you. I'm going to be very, very brief. I just want to reaffirm 4 things that we know. 1, Jerusalem is Palestine. Yay! 2, Palestine is the land from the river to the sea, with no exceptions. 3, Palestine will be free. And 4, it is the Palestinian people who will free Palestine. It is the struggle, it is the fight, it is the will of the Palestinian people that will liberate their homeland and open it back up from the river to the sea. But we have work to do here to support that struggle, to support that victory that will happen. We have work to do here because American Israeli terror reaches our cities too. It takes our tax dollars instead of putting it into our schools and our cities and our hospitals, and sends it in the form of bombs to the IDF. It's not the Israeli Defense Force, it's the Israeli Occupation Force. Let's be very clear about that. It exports Israeli terror policing tactics back to our cities like Bridgeport, where the police brutally killed Jason Negron earlier this year, and still we have not gotten justice for that. American Israeli terror reaches every corner of the world, and we have so much work to do here, but we are doing it today by standing here. We are doing it by engaging in boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. We are doing it by pressuring our elected officials. We are doing it by marching. We are doing it by holding these flags high and saying Palestine will be free. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Thank you.